Hi, I'm Bloodfish. This Super Smelter is a modified recreation of Mumbo Jumbo's Hermitcraft Season 6 design. I've linked the original videos below. The build is a late-game, wood, iron, and gold intensive build, and is compatible with Java Edition 1.14 or higher. For more information, please check the in-depth guide video linked below as well. In a bit more detail, the minimum volume of the smelter in width, height, and depth respectively includes a tall box of 11 x 16 x 6 blocks against a long box of 125 x 7 x 6 blocks. However, I do recommend reserving a slightly larger volume just to make building more convenient. As for the other specifics of this design, which can be changed, this version of the smelter has 128 furnaces with an output of 12.8 items per second. It uses bamboo as a fuel source, and the collection chest is at the center of the system. Before we start, here's the list of items required to build the smelter. Alternatively, here it is in stacks. And finally, here it is in raw materials. For the wood, I've split this into chests, planks, and sticks, just to make it easier. Please note that some recipes create more items than needed, for instance, detector rails. Let's get started. Your starting plan should look like this. Go to the 66th and 67th block from the left of the first row and place a double chest. Place 2 hoppers behind, going into the double chest. On both sides of the hopper, place 2 more hoppers. Then 2 glass blocks on the first 2 hoppers, and then a temporary block. Next, place a slab and an ice block. Then 4 glass on either side, starting from the temporary block. This is the start of the water stream. The sequence to place blocks is as follows. The water line starts with the middle chest, 3 blocks to space, and 1 block of ice. We repeat 8 slabs and 1 ice 5 times, then 5 slabs, and finish with 1 ice and 8 slabs. The dropper line starts off with 9 blocks of glass, and then 1 dropper. You can see that I am also going to be placing a temporary block underneath the dropper for later. We then repeat 18 glass and 1 dropper twice, and then we finish with 15 glass and 1 dropper. The final line is simply a line of glass blocks, but we place an extra layer of 3 glass blocks in front of every dropper. For the last dropper, place the extra glass on the last 2 blocks, and then place a temporary block and another 2 glass blocks on the side. Remove the temporary blocks in the water stream, place signs above every ice block, and fill in with water. Repeat steps 4 to 8 for the water stream on the other side. Just to check, there should not be any signs in front of the droppers, and the water stream should always be directed towards the center chest. Next, the automatic dropper circuit. This dropper circuit will go behind every single dropper. So, to build it, place a slab behind this temporary block, break the block, and then place a comparator on this slab into a full block, and then place the temporary block here, slab here, redstone dust, a full block on the side and above. Redstone dust, place another redstone dust and another full block above the comparator, and then 2 more slabs, a repeater, and then redstone dust back into the comparator. You can then break this temporary block. Repeat this for all the other droppers. Place a hopper above the droppers and extend out 9 more hoppers on both sides. For the last dropper on both ends, only extend out 6 more hoppers on one side. Place the furnaces above the hoppers, facing forward. You can see that the number of hoppers correspond to the number of furnaces. Place a line of hoppers behind the furnaces, going into the furnace. Then, place another line of hoppers above the furnaces, also going into the furnace. At the long end of the system, place a slab adjacent to the full block above the comparator. Then place the comparator above this slab into a full block, and then a redstone lamp adjacent to that full block. This redstone lamp indicates if the fuel has reached the last hopper. For the second water stream, start at the long end of the system. Place 4 slabs behind the hoppers, behind the furnaces. And then we repeat 1 ice and 8 slabs until the last hopper. Place a line of iron bars above the hoppers behind the furnaces. Starting from the leftmost iron bar, use glass blocks to create an L shape that wraps around the water stream until the last hopper. At the tall end of the system, place 5 powered rails above the hoppers above the furnaces. Then, place a redstone block above the last rail. We repeat 17 powered rails with a redstone block above the last rail until the last hopper. Once you reach the end, place a slab and 4 normal rails. Mirror the line of powered rails and redstone blocks above the glass blocks. However, when you reach the block before the last redstone block, place a full block on the next block, and then go up diagonally 8 more blocks. So this is the 0th block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go across 1 block in the same direction, and place 2 more blocks towards the front of the smelter. Place 4 normal rails on these 4 blocks. Fill in the remaining diagonal path with powered rails. The last redstone block is placed next to the second powered rail going up. Again, remove the temporary blocks. Place signs above every ice block. And fill in with water. The water should be flowing towards the long side of the system. At this point, you will have completed the long side of the system. Check if the remaining number of items in the double chest are correct. Furthermore, see if the ends of the smelter are in line with the allocated volume. I recommend lighting up your build throughout. I've used sea lanterns next to every sign, but it doesn't really matter. Next, onto the tall side. Adjacent to the first hopper behind the furnace, place 2 glass blocks and a temporary block in front of the second block. In a similar fashion, place 2 more slabs to finish off the water stream and an ice block behind the second slab. Place a double chest on the glass blocks and add 3 glass on its side. Add 1 more glass block opposite the double chest. Place a sign above the ice block and fill in the water stream. This is where your chosen fuel source will flow into the system. Place 2 blocks next to the double chest, then use the temporary block to go down and across 3 more blocks. Place another temporary block, a normal block, a lever, and optionally a light source. Break the temporary blocks. From left to right, starting from the second block, place a powered rail, a normal rail, then go up a block, place a detector rail, and a powered rail. Place a block above the normal rail, the last powered rail, and then we break this, and then replace it onto the first block. The lever will also be activated. Place a block in front of the first hopper above the furnace. Go 2 more blocks across towards the detector rail. Put a temporary block in front of the third block, and another full block on top. Above the last 4 full blocks in the same sequence, place a hopper with a comparator running out into another comparator that goes into this full block. Place a redstone torch on top and button on the side. The sticky piston goes beside the torch with a fence attached. Place a double chest above the detector rail and comparator. Using the temporary block, put a full block with a repeater on the top, which goes into another block. Place one redstone dust and torch on the top and side of this block respectively. Break the temporary block. Place a sticky piston above the torch with a full block attached. Put a temporary block on top of this full block and surround with 4 glass. Break the temporary block. If done correctly, this full block should be above this first powered rail when the piston is extended. I recommend standing on either of these 3 glass blocks. Go up 7 more levels using glass blocks, avoiding the existing minecart path. So this is the second level. 3, 4, 5, 6, avoid, and 7. Cover the storage chamber with the last glass block. So place temporary block here and glass block. Break temporary block. You need to reserve a block for minecarts to enter here. For the final step, I didn't include these materials in the item list because they are variable depending on the number of furnaces. For this specific design, finish by placing a stack and 51 items into this hopper, and I also recommend inputting 9 hopper minecarts into the system. So just take one and push like that, and then just input 8 more of those. And there we go. At this point, you have completed the tall side of the system, which basically means the smelter is functional. You are able to smelt items with it. Obviously, you do need a source of fuel. I've linked a few references below biased towards bamboo farms. You may also need to extend the water stream to transport this fuel. In particular, the items must go past the ice block and hit the chest perpendicularly. This shifts the item's hitbox so the hoppers can pick up the item effectively. However, this version of the smelter has a flaw. To quote, "The first minecart, for some reason, tends to get a few more items than all the other ones. Don't really know what that's all about, but after that it will get 64 and 20. So what's the issue here? Well, this current system starts off with the hopper minecart already on the detector rail, and so when I start to use the system, I place items into the double chest and it automatically flows into this hopper minecart. However, because this is already here, it loads up slightly more items than needed. For this specific design, I want this to load up 2 stacks of items, which is 128 items. But instead it loads up 135 items, so the remaining 7 items don't get smelted by the system because there aren't enough furnaces, basically, and the items just simply get cycled throughout the entire system back into this line of hopper minecarts, and it's just very messy that way. Therefore, I propose the addition of a new circuit to this system. This circuit, highlighted in yellow, basically just sends out the last minecart out after a certain amount of delay, without calling a new one from storage. So what this means is that, in this new system, when you load items into the double chest, you have to press the button to start, which will call out a new minecart from the back. And since the minecart doesn't start from the detector rail, it comes up from the back, it's technically the second minecart, and so it always gets filled up to the intended amount. And at the very end, even if the minecart doesn't get filled up to the intended amount, say it fills up to 1 stack when I initially wanted 2 stacks, it will still get sent out, and there will not be any items left in the system, in the double chest, nor in the hopper minecart itself. And therefore, for the tutorial, here are the extra items you will need. Let's get started. On the block above the normal rail, place a comparator from the chest into another full block. Put a redstone torch on the side of this block. Place a temporary block beside this torch, then a sticky piston facing down, and an observer attached in this direction. Place a temporary block below this observer, then 2 full blocks across, another temporary block, and then replace this glass block with a full block. Under the system, place 2 more blocks next to the temporary block going across. Place another temporary block below this button, and 2 more full blocks on the remaining 2 sides. Then, place 4 repeaters above the 4 blocks on the same level, which means these 4 blocks. All of these repeaters will be set on a 4-tick delay, going out this observer. So this one's the first one, second one. And then go over here, go on, and go. Break all the temporary blocks. So over here, and the other 3 over there. Relocate this redstone torch to underneath the sticky piston, so here, and place a redstone dust below the button. And there we go! There shouldn't be any more major issues now with this furnace, and it should be working, if not even better than the previous version. Thank you for watching. This is my first tutorial after all. Don't go too hard on me down in the comments below. And now, the grand finale.